If we take a step back and survey everything that is possible, we see that through sheer ingenuity and tremendous dedication, we are capable of great things. We complete impressive tasks at work. We receive honors and awards, higher degrees, and widespread acclaim. We publish articles. We have scientific breakthroughs. We close impressive business deals. And yet, on Saturday morning, when we open the dryer, we can't find all the matching socks. It is a mystery. And Erin Wathen decided to do something about it. She was so tired of taking all of these single, unmatched socks that came out of the dryer and throw them in the trash can. So she huddled up with her children in the den, and they developed a precision plan. They were going to fan out all over the house and have a scavenger hunt. And she was going to give all of her kids money for every unmatched sock that they found. So they broke the huddle and they spread out with great enthusiasm. They looked under beds and inside closets. They went through the bathroom, even the backyard. They went out to the cars and looked under the seats and in the trunk. And she kept urging them on. Your sister has more socks than you do. You don't want your brother to outdo you. And the pile of found socks started to grow. Well, at the end of this search and rescue mission, they had 12 pairs of matching socks. And they were thrilled. And afterwards, she said, there was a hidden parable inside this story that so many times what we need, we already have. And she called it a liturgy of abundance. And we find a liturgy of abundance in the story about Jesus feeding the 5,000. That despite his best efforts to find some quiet time all alone, the crowds kept following him. And this was shortly after he heard about the death of John the Baptist. So perhaps he needed time to grieve. So he got into a boat to leave the crowds behind. But when he got off of the boat on another spot along the shore, the crowds found him yet again. And it says he had compassion on them. That he sat down with them. He spent time with them. He tended to the sick. But when evening came and everybody started to get hungry, the disciples came to him and said, we need to send everybody home. They need to at least go to the surrounding villages so they can buy some food to eat. But Jesus said, why don't you give them something to eat? And they were baffled. All we have, 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Jesus said, bring them to me. And he started to hand them out. And they multiplied. That they not only had enough for everyone to eat, but also they had 12 baskets of leftovers. It was a liturgy of abundance. That even if we do not realize it, we might already have what we need. Because abundance is not about an amount. That if you have ever known anyone to take one of those long trips along the Appalachian Trail where they're gone for days and they're hiking so many miles, out of curiosity, you might have said to them, "What did you take with you?" Well, apparently, if you're a hiker who's just beginning, usually you take more than you need. You've packed tents and tarps, utensils and tools, gadgets and gizmos, everything for every occasion. But at your first stop, you then sit down and decide what to leave behind. It's just too much. It's too heavy. That experienced hikers know what to leave behind and know how to find everything else along the way. And abundance is learning what to leave behind and what to find along the way. It's learning to rely on the grace of God and to lean into the help of others, knowing that we will be changed and we will make adjustments along the way. That if we try and take everything we might need, it only weighs us down. That we step into that pitfall that the prophet Isaiah describes. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and you labor for that which does not satisfy? And one of the greatest threats to the abundance of God is our tendency towards comparison. That anytime we start to compare our lives to the lives of others, we fail to see the abundance of God. That no matter who you are, we all have unmatched socks. That we cannot try to live up to that appearance of perfection that we think that we see in other people's lives, because we cannot and do not see the scars or the wounds which we all have. That there is this strange contentment within the abundance of God, where we can value the person standing in front of us without feeling less about ourselves. And we can give thanks for our unique experiences, even when they are different from the experiences of others. And we can begin to recognize our need for each other instead of comparing ourselves to one another. Because there is an abundance in our lives. As we pull up a chair around the table of grace, we might think about all the other chairs in our lives. We might think about that chair that we sat at the kitchen table growing up, surrounded by those people who taught us the basic lessons of life on which we still rely. Or we might think about that chair where we sat on the second row in elementary school, in that class where the teacher really seemed to get us. That she brought something to life inside of us. Or we might think about that chair in the high school lunchroom, one of the scariest rooms there is, because everyone in that room is comparing themselves to everybody else. But there were one or two friends that we sat with who always made us feel like we belonged. Or maybe it's that chair we sit in at work where we can serve and contribute to the lives of others. Or maybe it's that chair where we end up in at the end of every day, where finally we can completely let down our guard. That we can look at those chairs and others through a liturgy of abundance. That they are the people and the places who have shaped the trajectory of our lives, who held us up whenever we felt weary, who invested so much inside of us even when we did not realize it, that they are the people and the places where we discovered the grace of God. And we can think about the chair that we pull up around the table of grace, the table that shapes all of our other tables, because it can reveal to us the abundance of God, where what we need, we already have. Amen.